Well, welcome to my reports again. I've decided to put up the report on mind control. The CIA, the governments throughout the world are prolific in using hypnosis and mind control, not for good, but for evil. Mind control to form assassins to kill who they want killed. You will notice in this film that I've used some of the charts from one of the other fellas that is also exposing this, and that chart will be shown to you from the beginning. Now, to begin with, as I've always urged you, go into Google, do a search on it, and if you wanted to do a search on mind control for assassins, I put up a sheet here just to show you that there is plenty about it. Go into illumicorp.com and you will get a lot more information concerning what I'm going to show you on this report. And also, in this report, go into this man's creation science evangelism. I've also used a lot of his charts because they are very well put together, and I'll leave it up to you to have your own research. Here's one of those charts. That which we must say to the crowd is, we worship a God, but it is the God that one adores without superstition. To you, Sovereign Grand Inspectors General, we say this, that you may repeat it to the brethren of the 32nd, 31st, and the 30th degrees. That came from Albert Pike. In the Georgia Stones, the Freemason Secret Society have given you what they believe the future to be for this earth. And one up the top, maintain humanity under 500 million. That means they have to kill at least 6 billion people. They want to keep it, as they say, in a perpetual balance with nature. And these stones are full of Masonic symbols. And there is the source for you to do your own research there on your screen. On this chart, you can see that it involves the Club of Rome, the communists, socialists, national education. And this is a very important point for you to realise, that these ruling elite, the Masons and the Illuminati secret society cartel, have infiltrated into every avenue of our schools and universities, and they control what education is given to your children. Now, some of the other groups that are under the total control of the Illuminati, the Masons, and the Secret Society cartel, you'll see on this here, we have, to get the New World Order going, the United Nations is under their control. World Council of Churches. Make a note of that, because all of the churches are under their control. And you heard me say in many other reports that the Illuminati, secret societies, Masons control all religions. The CFR, Trilateral Commission, the Bilderbergs, the IMF, and the international bankers are all under the control of the Illuminati, Mason secret society. Now, more concerning who their God is, that is Lucifer, you'll get in my other reports. The Masonic religion should be, by all of us initiates of the high degrees, maintained in the purity of the Luciferian, that satanic doctrine. Yes, Lucifer is the God, and that also came from Albert Pike. Now, you wonder how the Illuminati controls Hollywood. Well, yes, they do. The Illuminati believe that to control the media is to control the public. This is one of their stated agendas. Now remember, finance, media, law, government, and education are the areas that they targeted as being the best to dominate the society. And you can read the rest of it in your own time. But remember that they claim that they have the right to rule the earth. And you can see what they've been doing over the last few hundred years. Now we're into points about the mind control. As we have documented on numerous occasions, many of the mass casualty shootings in the United States have the hallmark of being perpetrated by mind-controlled assassins, or they are attributed to mind-controlled PATSIEs. Now the question down the bottom that you've got to ask as we go through this, are these murders carried out by the criminal governments? What for? To gain gun control laws. Now, concerning these people that go into schools and shoot up people, you can get a lot more of this if you go into the web, but I don't think you need to. There you're looking at the guns that were found on the killer, but there is a picture there of a rifle. Now, ask a question about this because this rifle was not found on the suspect. So you've got to ask the question, who used it? You're going to find out more as we go through this. Now, just recently, this Adam Lanza was wearing a black outfit with a mask and a bulletproof vest. Question, why would he want to hide his identity, and why would he wear a bulletproof vest if he planned to kill himself? Or was he killed by the false flag operationists, the Illuminati, those that were paid to put him into the schools to cause these murders? Now, the medical examiner asserts that all wounds were caused by a rifle, not guns or other long weapons. And police, the FBI, say that the school was littered with .223 rifle casings. And that means that they were spent bullets from a rifle, not from any handgun. But Adam Lanza was found dead in the school with only handguns. The police stated a rifle was found in the trunk of his car. But now they want to claim that it was the murder weapon. So who do you want to believe? Now notice here, according to the official story, 26 people died, only one was wounded. The dead included 20 small squirmy children, which would be very difficult targets, even for a professional. So the question is, how could Adam Lanza achieve such amazing deadly accuracy in such a short length of recorded time? Well, my personal opinion is he wasn't an expert, he wasn't a professional, and that is impossible. Now you've got a newspaper clipping, the Newton, Connecticut eyewitness reports of a second shooter now being scrubbed. Why? From the news as the story, this shooting was first breaking and the news was reporting a second gunman. Of course there was a second gunman. There was professionals in there with a rifle that was doing the killing. So the question down the bottom, why was there no inquiry about this? And why didn't they go back and look at all of the spent cartridges on the ground? Why was there a different official report coming out? Now look at this. Why did the police say on Friday that they were going to leave the bodies in the school until Sunday, then on Saturday morning announced that they have spirited the bodies away in the middle of the night? Who are they hiding them from? Perhaps to ensure that the transport, if any, would go unrecorded on photo or video. Or, question down the bottom, was it because the witnesses would have seen that the children did not die from handgun shots, but were dead from rifle bullets? And there's a big difference when you look at any animal, anything that is shot with a rifle and a handgun. Now, let me tell you something about hypnosis and mind control. Many, many years ago, I travelled the country behind a couple of well-known hypnotists. One was Franklin and the other was Van Lowe. And I learned all about hypnosis. Now, one thing I did learn, that when a person is under hypnosis and you induce a post-hypnotic suggestion for them to carry out any act, this act would be carried out once there was a trigger. Now, that could have been a phone message, or it could have been some music or a voiceover on their phone. That would have been sufficient to get the person, the PATSIE, to go in and start shooting. But it was obvious in this case and all of the other cases that there was more than one shooter. It wasn't the PATSIE. And as a matter of fact, they make sure that the PATSIE gets killed. Not by himself. You'll find that there was no inquiry, there was no post-mortem, there's no coroner's report. They kill the PATSIE because they don't want any evidence around. Now let's talk about their other technology, holograms. And there will be a hologram to deceive the world. Soon, it is probable that a figure of Mary will be produced in the sky to tell all of the Catholics around the world that they must join with the New World Order and support the people who are planning a one world government. And then later, their plan is to project images of Buddha, Krishna, Muhammad, and Jesus Christ, all of whom will tell the world that differences in religion are the cause of all the chaos and the violence on the planet Earth. And in order to stop the chaos and violence and to please God, which God, everyone must join together in the one world religion. Now, I've given you details on this in previous report. Then all of these figures will merge into one, which will be the New Age Christ, not Jesus Christ. It will be the Masons' Lucifer, and the deception will then be complete. And if you want to follow that up on more details, you've got the source of the website down the bottom. Now you're looking at something that was published by Alan Sabrowski. Quote, I have had a long conversations over the last 2 weeks with contacts at the Army War College and the headquarters, Marine Corps, and I've made it absolutely clear in both cases that it is 100% certain that the 9/11, which was a hoax, was a Mossad operation, and no planes, by the way, hit the Twin Towers. The Zionists are playing this as an all-or-nothing exercise, and if they lose this one, they're done. That's Alan Sabrowski from the U.S. Army War College, retired. Now, this is about the CIA and the government's mind control murders, hypnosis programmed assassins. Item 1 and 2. Mind control is a result of a long-standing CIA government program to use what we call Manchurian candidate shooters. And the thing is that what is behind these mass shootings is not being publicly reported by the media. Now, I've got one little point I want to make there. What is the media doing telling lies to the people? We know about it because of a whistleblower from the CIA who has gone public. They use nanotechnologies with implants that are located inside the prospective shooter, and then the shooter can be teleguided and directed to do the shooting. And this is the trigger that I told you about before. This is a well-established program to create mayhem and therefore to establish gun control laws and to overcome the guarantees of the Second Amendment of an armed population against the tyrannical government. Now, more about the mind control, the CIA mind control murders, hypnosis. Mind control is a result of the long-standing CIA government program to use what is for the Manchurian candidate shooters under the Illuminati Mason numerology. The stage shooting at the Arapahoe High School has Illuminati Mason's numerology written all over it. It's painfully obvious this is another government, CIA, attempt to disarm America and trash the Second Amendment so they can bring in gun laws. A student bent on shooting the librarian, the alleged target was Mr. Murphy, the school librarian, barged into the Colorado school and terrorized his classmates for 14 minutes before he killed himself. Item 2, it just so happens this most recent Illuminati Mason event occurred on the eve of Sandy Hook Elementary School, false flag event, and a few miles away from the Columbine High School, where 2 students killed 13 classmates and themselves back in 1999. It's also about 20 miles from Aurora, Colorado, where James Holmes opened fire on moviegoers at the opening of the Batman movie, killing 12 and injuring dozens. And as you can see, this is all about hypnosis, putting a post-hypnotic suggestion into their patsies to carry out these evil murders. Now, I'm going to give you a bit of an idea, but the question is, who was the first to use mind control? Now, don't forget the Illuminati, the Masons, they all worship Lucifer or Satan. And I've given you a couple of examples here about Yahweh, the living creator God. Item 1, the enemy was at war with Israel. Yahweh, the living creator God, caused terror on them and caused each man to turn his sword on his fellow. Over 100,000 were slain. Now, this is going to be repeated at the end of days in the Gog and Magog war that I've given you a documentary on. Item 2, Yahweh decreed evil on the king, and behold, the Spirit issued falsehood to the prophets, and the king went into battle and was slain. Item 3, Aram, which is Assyria, waged war against Israel at Dothan. A large army came to the attack. Elisha, he prayed to Yahweh and asked that the enemy be struck with blindness, and they were blinded by Yahweh. Elisha then led the entire blinded army 100 miles to Samaria, and instead of killing them, he fed them and sent them home. Item 4, Arameans were attacking Israel, who were outnumbered 100 to 1. Yahweh, the living creator God, filled the enemy's minds with the sounds of chariots, horses, the sound of a great army. And the Aramean enemy, they all fled in fear. Now here you're looking at examples of the creator of this earth, who also, of course, created your brain, my brain, created the mind control. And he used mind control to protect his people. Now, before we finish this report, if you go through the history book, you'll find that the Jews were thrown out of many countries. Now, there was a lot of reasons for this, but here's a couple of points that will jolt your mind and make you realize why they were thrown out of these countries. Up the one there, you've got the Martinez Pasquales, who put this together and published it. 2, the Talmud, that's the Sanhedrin, 55b, a Jew may marry a 3-year-old girl, specifically 3 years and 1 day. Sanhedrin 54b, a Jew may have sex with a child as long as the child is less than 9 years old. And the next one, number 4, When a grown-up man has intercourse with a little girl, it is nothing. Now, can you imagine that today? And already there is going on in Melbourne and Sydney a commission that is against all of the rabbis for child abuse. Now have a look at what Yahweh, the living creator God, says about this. There's a royal commission, as I just said, underway in Melbourne and Sydney for the Jewish rabbis that have been charged with child abuse. That's in February 2015. Rabbis have resigned. Now the top leading rabbi has resigned. Now this is what Yahweh says. I shall give them over to all the kingdoms of the earth for horror and for evil, and they shall be a paradigm of shame and a parable, and a lesson and a curse in all the places to which I will disperse them. And I shall send after them the sword, famine, and pestilence, until I have annihilated them. Now, when you're reading your Bible, I'll put a note down the bottom there. Remember that the word Lord is not talking about Yahweh. They think it's talking about Jesus. So put Yahweh's name over Lord when you are reading. Now these secret society cartel, the Masons and the Illuminati, they're going to get a rude shock somewhere down the road. I put there special rewards for the ruling Masons, Illuminati elite. They denied Yahweh's existence, and of course they've taught all of our kids in schools today that there's no God. Well, this is what Yahweh is saying to the world. Behold, evil is going out from nation to nation, and a great storm will be aroused from the edges of the earth. The slain of Yahweh on that day will cover from one end of the earth to the other. They will not be eulogized, nor gathered for burial. They will remain like dung on the face of the earth. You've got all of the sources for more information. Now the end is upon you. My eye will not spare you, and I will not have compassion, for I will place upon you punishment for your abominations and evil. Then you will know that I am Yahweh. No longer will the fulfillment of my words be delayed. The words that I speak shall be done. I will cause a stormy rain with huge hailstones in my anger. For the day of Yahweh is great and very awesome. Who will be able to bear it? Jerusalem will be a heap of rubble, the Temple Mount a heap of stones, and I've given that to you in previous reports. Yahweh says, I will shake the heavens and the earth and the sea and the dry land and all the precious things of the nations. So those who think that they can deny the existence of God, bring in evolution and a lot of false science, they got a rude shock coming to them down the line. Now, just a little note before I wind up this report. What should people do? Well, what it says in the old book, search the words of Yahweh and read it. It's Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel. Yahweh, the God who made the heavens and the earth by himself, and is the God over all kingdoms. Yahweh, who gave a soul to the people upon the earth, and a spirit to those who walk on it. Yahweh, who instructs you for your benefit, who guides you in the way you should follow, and it's Yahweh will show you mercy, for he is abundantly forgiving. The one who trusts in Yahweh will have a portion on this earth in peace and tranquility. And I might add, and he protects his people. They are protected by his hand. No harm will come to them. And there's a new group put together, chosen by Yahweh, that becomes the new Israel and will be the new people that will be redeemed. And I've given that to you in my reports.